Alright, so you can see what's happened here. The Soviets, the Warsaw Pact, made good on their attacks. The Soviets managed to bust a hole there, and they wiped out that Italian engineer unit that was defending the line, the most thinly defended part of the line, and they kind of came up this way, and they hit the weak spot, and they managed to roll, I think they rolled a 9, but of course against such a weak unit, it really didn't matter, and they busted through without loss. And the Hungarians too, they managed to roll an 8, and they also had such high odds because they were attacking a single strength point Italian unit, and they had air support and everything else. And the reason the Hungarians had air support is because of the fierce air battles that went on over here. And the Americans managed to get their F-18 shot down, and both Russian air units got shot down, one of them by SAMs, and the Italian air unit managed to get shot down. And as you can see, Trieste was successfully bombed, and that's going to mean 3 more dice for the Soviets when it comes time to determine victory. And unless the Italians can absolutely keep the Soviets out of Italy, that's probably going to cost them the game. So this war was kind of decided in the air. Now, it's not all bad news for the Italians. The Americans did lose another air unit because that munitions target got hit, and they lost a second F-15, but there are still 2 F-14 units that are due to arrive. They'll probably arrive during the Allied player turn of this turn, and we're on turn 5. And so, you know, those F-14s are formidable units. They can hold their own, and the Russians are running low on air units. They don't have much of an air force to speak of. In fact, I'll slew over here to the return to base box, and that is basically it. That's what's left of the Red Air Force. And so it's not over till it's over. Now, the Italians, they're in trouble here. Sorry about the blurriness. There we go. They're in trouble because they've got 2 major breaches in their line. And the Italian units up north here, they're going to find themselves cut off, and they're going to have to manage a retreat to avoid certain doom. And these Italian units here in the middle, they're probably in big trouble. Now, there's no rules for dying on the vine, for being out of supply. These turns represent 1 day, and these units had enough supplies to hold out throughout the length of the scenario. But still, they're locked. They're not really going to be able to make much progress. And of course, you'll notice there the Hungarians managed to get their air mobile unit positioned perfectly, and that's because they got an overrun result. And that air mobile unit is going to be able to dash right through here and threaten the open flank of the Italians. Now, the Italians did 2 things that were wise. In the first place, they have a reserve. Now, I know there's a tendency amongst wargamers to throw everything you've got into the battle, and one may argue that maybe I've got too much of a reserve here, but I've had experience with those Soviet and Hungarian air mobile units before, and you don't want to let them get back here unmolested. So there is a bit of a reserve, and those guys are going to be able to come in and plug up the hole. So it's not all gloom and doom. And also you can see we've got the Italian air mobile unit, and I put him there in Trieste expressly for the purpose of this kind of situation. In case there was a breakthrough, I can swing this guy up, and I can put him here or there or wherever. And we've got reinforcements coming. You can see there's a French mechanized division on the way. And so, you know, we've got a real fight on our hands. And it's by no means won for the Soviets, not by a long shot. In fact, I would say the odds, because of the situation in the air, that is to say, because the Soviets have lost so many air units, I would say the odds are still with the Allies. So anyway, listen, I'm going to kind of taper off with my after-action reports. I just kind of wanted to get through the meat of a couple turns there and let you see how the game works. And I'll resolve a lot of this and continue on, and then I'll run a final video, and we'll see how it all ended up. If anything interesting happens along the way, I'll do a video and kind of drop that in before we do a final video. But for now, I think you got the gist of the game, and you can see how a Russian attack during World War III against the Italians might have actually gone, give or take. And so just kind of interesting stuff. This game was designed really to be an augment for Red Tide West. It wasn't designed necessarily to be its own scenario, but I think it stands really quite well as its own scenario. And so for that reason alone, I think the game is pretty good. But I would love to get a chance to play this game in conjunction with Red Tide West, because some of the rules are different, and there's a whole different dynamic, and suddenly you've got reinforcements that can go here and there. You can see Czech units starting to show up in this theater possibly, or extra Soviet reserves coming in this way, or these units going into West Germany, whatever you can think of. So anyway, all right, hey, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making the videos, and we'll do at least one more video, and we'll wrap it up then.